Monday schedule. I'm not entirely a fan. All right. So it is the 15th of March, guys. We have legit a month and a day until the end of the quarter. We're going to be doing the explore section today of your notebook. So we're looking at mutation, and we're going to do the mutation and selection gizmo. Also, if you have not taken the genetic variation unit test, please do so. It's now in the gradebook as a 0. Hi, Sam. Quick reminders, the new intervention schedule starts tomorrow, so make sure you're checking Skyward. If you are in my intervention, you need to show up for intervention because you get marked absent, and that sucks. So I'll be working out plans for you guys. I will be in contact with you if you are in my intervention. I will tell you this, the only reason why you'd be in my intervention right now is if you haven't taken a test. That's it. That's the only reason. So the plan would be just to take the test. That's all. Pretty easy peasy. So plan for this week. We're going to start the explore activity. And tomorrow you guys are going to continue working on it, and we'll kind of walk through some of those sections. It is a long one. So you guys today will have 6 slides. So working on slides 6 through 12 today. Knowing that, that's why you guys have 2 days. It is the expectation that you do, like, you get some of it done today. So level load, so plan out your time, because you got to be done with it by the end of tomorrow. And we're going to discuss some of the concepts and whatnot tomorrow. Wednesday, you guys have your notes day. So it's the one notes day for the unit. It's not a big note section. So if you kind of creeped in your notebook a little bit further ahead, you'll notice there's really only 1 slide, which is nice. So if you'll have a Nearpod, it'll be more of an independent day. There's not a huge amount of stuff for that one, so that'll be a nice day for you guys. Thursday, we will do the elaborate section after we go through and recap the notes. We'll be doing an activity called Is It Selection? So we're going to take what we've learned over the past 3 days there, and we're going to kind of look at different scenarios to decide if natural selection is taking place or not. And then Friday, you guys will do the second of your gizmos of the unit, but it's a STEM gizmo, so you're looking at one of those scenarios. Do know you'll start it Friday and you'll be able to continue it on Monday, as well as you'll have a little mini quiz on Monday as well. So you'll have that to look forward to. The following week, just kind of a even further look ahead, your test is kind of looking like it's going to be roughly Wednesday of the following week. And then you got your final unit, and then we're done. So it's kind of crazy that we're wrapping up your bio experience for the whole year. Questions though, you guys did an activity looking at reproductive advantage on Friday. Any questions you guys have quickly before I walk through your activity today? Because there are some pieces I want to make sure that you guys are aware of for today's activity before. You guys are good. If you didn't get a chance to do this, please make sure you do this. Remember, when you're doing this, the way that you adjust the environment per those questions is to move the slider back and forth. It's a pretty simple simulation. That's really all you're doing, is moving the slider back and forth to change what the environment looks like, which is really the focus. The major highlighting and major focus of the whole unit is how do populations, okay, so the group of organisms change over time based off of the environment that they're in. So the environment is really the key here. Today, okay, so looking at building off of the reproductive advantage concepts of the first activity, and we'll go through it a little bit more tomorrow when we've got a little bit more time to dedicate to it. You guys are going to be adding 2 vocab terms. Okay, it's going to be the first 2 of the unit. Specifically, you guys are going to be looking at the principles of adaptations and the effects of mutations in sexual reproduction on an organism's fitness. Now, when we're looking at the term adaptations, these 2 terms are often misused because we have a tendency to want to use like our regular English understanding, like our common everyday use of these words. Now, when we talk about the word adapt, we often use it as in our everyday language as meaning to adjust, like, oh, I've adapted to this environment. That's not what it means in science. So, for instance, if I were to move to Arizona in the summertime, it's about 120 degrees. So, it's like living in the seventh circle of the underworld. I wouldn't say that, oh, I've adapted to this environment. No, I have acclimated to this environment. My body has become used to the heat. I have become one with the heat and I'm okay now. It's not as bad as it was before. That would be acclimation. And adaptation is when you inherit traits from your parents, okay, from generation to generation that help you survive in an environment. Those are adaptations. So you inherit adaptations. They're characteristics that allow you to survive better. Okay, so that's the difference there. Acclimating is adjusting. Adaptations are inherited traits. Okay. Now, these adaptations or inherited traits affect what we call an organism's fitness. And I do not mean by fitness like up in the gym working on your fitness kind of a situation, like you guys are going to go lift weights, work out for sports and all that. No. Okay. That's our everyday understanding of the word fitness. In biology, however, fitness has nothing to do with whether you got a six pack or you could run a 4,440, like nothing like that. Fitness in biology means, first, can you survive in your environment long enough to reproduce? Can you pass those favorable traits, those adaptations, those traits and characteristics that helped you survive? Can you pass those on to your offspring? That's what fitness is. Organisms that can do that, okay, organisms that can survive, make babies, and give those babies their favorable traits, they're the fittest ones. Okay, that doesn't always exactly survival of the fittest, exactly Faisal, that's where that comes from. It does not mean that they are the fastest or the strongest necessarily. It means that they were able to survive the longest to pass on those traits. Absolutely. Okay. So you guys are going to look at today how the ideas of mutations and sexual reproduction affect these two concepts within a population. Okay. Now there's three questions you're going to be focused on over the next 2 days. One, where does this variation in a population come from? Two, are some organisms more likely to survive and reproduce than others? So is fitness like standardized across the board, or are some organisms more fit than others? And how does a population as a whole, how does the whole group change over time? What does that look like? Now, in the Gizmo that you guys are going to be using, there's lots of like little levers you're going to be moving and like sliding bars you're going to be adjusting. Now, some helpful hints on how you're going to read the Gizmo so that you can fill out the charts in your notebook. The first thing, when you guys are clicking, so if I open up my Gizmo real quick, and if you guys want to open up your notebook to like slide 7, okay, just to prep, here's what the Gizmo looks like. Up here is where you guys are going to adjust your background. You can either grab these little bars and slide them into position, or you can simply click in here and type the values that are needed for that specific part. So in your notebook, the first part, see, it tells you right here in where it says activity A, inherited variation, it tells you exactly where they want you to set the background. So I would set the red to 100, green to 255, and the blue to 50. That's where it's asking you to do that right here. Okay. The mutation rate is how quickly mutations or changes to the DNA are happening from parent to offspring. So when these little beetles go to mate, the mating pairs, the mom and the dad, are listed on the left-hand side. Their offspring are going to be right here in this middle section. The generation number, okay, is listed down here. And their average fitness is the average of all of these guys' fitness. However, when you click on each individual one, you notice that down here, the information will change ever so slightly, okay? Right now, they're all kind of the same. However, if you clicked on this one, you'll notice that you get a little bit different numbers. So when you click on each one, this box down here is for this beetle. This is like their individual profile, okay? And I could do the same thing for each of those parents. Now, when you see a circle show up around a beetle, that is your indication that the beetle has some sort of change or variation that has happened. Specifically, like a mutation, a new version of a chromosome has come up, okay, somehow. Now, when you are writing your genotypes and your phenotypes, okay, let me go back right here, okay. The genotype, okay, if these are your chromosomes right here, for this guy, color, the beetle color is the trait that you guys are going to be looking at. Now, beetle color is determined by 3 specific genes, and those genes are found on each of these chromosomes. Remember, these are your homologous chromosomes, so these are the homologous pairs. One's inherited from the mom, one's inherited from the dad. So when you go to write your genotype, you're going to be writing them looking at them going down for each, but you're going to write them going across. So for this one, it would be RGG. So I'd write it RGG, comma. And then for this one, I'd list next, KCG. KCG. Okay. Questions on that part? Now, for your phenotype, you're not going to necessarily write the color. Like typically on our different traits, we'd say, okay, well, your phenotype is what you see, so I would write green. In this case, we want to be a little bit more specific because we're looking for slight changes. So instead, for the phenotype, you're going to be looking here under the phenotype chart. Now, each of the beetle colors is a combination of red, green, and blue, and we're going to have slight adjustments to their value. So in this case, this particular beetle, their phenotype based on this gene combination would be red 43, green 170, blue 43. So you would write out the phenotype to look like this. Okay. Now where you would write that in your notebook would be right, where is it? Right in here on those boxes. So where is it? Slide 6. Nope. Slide 7. Okay. So when you're writing out your phenotype, this is where it's talking about red, what was that value? Green, what was that value? Blue, what was the value? And then when it asks you what is the color, that's where you can state, okay, what was the color overall? Now, the trickiest part is when you guys go to answer question and work on slide number 8. The slide number 8 is asking you to compare the chromosome pairs of the parent to the offspring. So if my chromosome for parent number 1, parent A, notice I'm using A1 to represent their first chromosome, A2 to represent their second, I would write it out like this, RGG, KCG. And then I do the same thing for my second parent. Then they each produce 4 offspring. So instead of writing it down, each offspring has their own row. So offspring number 1's chromosome sequence would go here, and then their second chromosome sequence would go here. This little box right here would just be if you wanted to say A1, A2, oops, no, A2. So that way you know which chromosome you're talking about. And you can either use A1, A2 or B1, B2, your choice. Okay. Now the big thing here, what you're looking for are differences. So if I was to look at this one, so notice how it goes RWM, RWM for the parent. However, my offspring, all of a sudden, it's CWM, RWM. So where did the C come from? That's your mutation. That's where you're going to identify. And how you're going to identify that is when you list it in your notebook, you're then going to grab the shape function right here, and you're going to grab the little circle. And when you list it out, you're going to make a circle and then just change it to transparent. So it's just on the outside. Okay. So you're going to identify where that difference is. Okay. So we can see the new alleles that are popping into a population. Okay. Other than that, everything's pretty straightforward. It just is, you have 3 different big ones you're going through. The second thing I'm going to caution you on is it will have you to adjust your speed. The big thing here is watch your speed, because this is the normal pace. So you guys are going to click, you'll make your offspring. Predators will come in and eat. This is your remaining population. They will mate, make offspring. Predators eat. They will make babies. Predators will eat. The remaining population makes babies. And that's the circle of life. However, if I jack up this speed, notice how fast, I didn't really move it a whole lot, but look how fast it's going. So you really want to be careful, because on a couple of your data tables, especially when you get to slide 10 and 11, I ask you to stop and record at certain generations. So make sure that you have your speed simulator or your simulator speed at the right spot. Otherwise, you're gonna miss data and you might have to start over, and that would be a bummer. Okay, so just watch that. This is tempting to use because it speeds up, but I mean, all of a sudden you're not going to be able to start and stop it fast enough to control it. Okay, so just watch that piece. Okay. Questions on how to function with the simulator? All right. So what you guys have today is you guys are working, you're going to start working on that explore section. So you've got slides 6 through 12. Next, if you haven't taken the genetic variation unit test, please do that. Third, if you need to finish the engage, the reproductive advantage activity from Friday, please do that. And then if you need to finish and turn in the genetic variations notebook, please work on that. So lots of stuff. You will, like I said, this is a bigger one, so you will have some time tomorrow. We'll start going over the first sections, and then I'll give you some time to ask questions about the latter one. So at least my expectation, try to at least get through section 1 and then maybe into 2. We'll go over that, and then you guys can have some time to finish 3, part activity 3 for tomorrow. Okay. So really making sure you're trying to balance the workload out. Okay. Other than that, do you guys have any questions? We got about 5 minutes left. If not, you guys are free to go ahead and start working. I will post the video with all the instructions like during lunchtime. So you guys will have that. So if you need to go back and rewatch anything, you will have that up for you.